you a little bit about the Cape. Most people are not aware how it started. In 1949, it was established by Department of Defense, and the purpose was to test missile weapons. And that's what they did through mid-1960s. And we had close to 40 launch pads on the Cape side. The heyday was the early 1960s. They were launching on average of every other day. I talked to people that were in school here at the time. They thought kids all over the world were able to see rockets launched from their backyard. That's what they saw. It's fun if you read about the early days. If you've read any of the books about the early days, there's a lot of funny stories about what went on over there. They were trying to learn how to launch rockets. So, of course, many of them did not make it off the launch pad. Many blew up on the launch pad or had to be destroyed shortly thereafter. We had one that turned sideways and headed for another pad, so they named that the Interpol. They had a test over there of snark. They would always say, look out for snark-infested waters. They had one of those go astray in the late 50s, early 60s. They did not know what happened to it, and I believe it was they found it in a jungle in South America. So all these, they would people that worked there, they could get fairly close to those rockets. Building to do testing, they added all of this cryogenics testing for our Constellation program, which was canceled about 3 weeks ago. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. But that's what all of this was for, test area. Now, what I want to show you coming up on your left, excuse me, the parachute refurbishment facility. And when they launch, after launch, they recover the booster casings and the parachutes from the Atlantic Ocean. Parachutes are brought here, and you can see they have some parts of them hanging up on the railings. They're brought here on reels from the ship. They take one parachute, they stretch it out on that concrete deck. You can see them stretching out a parachute there. They will fasten it to that yellow and orange conveyor belt. Just on the right end of the building where you see the M7, that's about 6,000 gallons of fresh water they use. These are windows. Those are the crew quarters. If you watch NASA TV, you see them suit up inside. They put on the orange launch and entry suits. They exit, they come out underneath that crossover. We usually always have a group of employees out there to cheer them on. And then you see them do that wave, and they climb aboard the Astro van. And then they begin to make that 9-mile trip out to the pass. We have 2 high bays on this side, 2 on the east side. They were able to use all 4 high bays. Leaving the building with a platform in the vehicle. First photograph shows you the Saturn V moon rocket. And you can see it also had an umbilical tower. We have a flagpole. Just to the right of that flagpole, we have a long blue box, and that's the original countdown. We're going to have to back up and go back around. Pad B, they're working on the road up here, so they've got us blocked off up here. To move the shuttle from the VAB out here to pad, and then it has hydraulic system, and they lower the platform with the shuttle onto the pedestals. Crawler backs away. They do not keep the crawler out here. It has 5,000 gallons of diesel fuel on board, so they don't want it out here when they launch. If you look, that's the oxygen vent hood, the beanie cap. Day of launch, they filled the orange external tank, and you see them place the beanie cap on top to vent the oxygen. Below that, and that's how the astronauts board. And that's where the closeout crew is located. There is a photograph of the Endeavour banner flying. Endeavour's the orbiter that's up in space right now. Glassy media takes up the entire crawlaway moving down. It's a massive piece of equipment moving on the crawlaway that we talked about. The lightning mast on top, but a remainder of the structure looks the same. That long white boxy shape you see, that's the payload changeout room. Cranes to lift it up into that room. When the shuttle comes out, that whole structure rotates 120 degrees around. So that room fits flush with the payload bay. That's how they move the payload inside, and it protects the wing vehicle from birds and weather while it's on the pad. And they only open that. You cannot tell that they launched the shuttle. There's places we have a lot of areas like this. They'll take out a telescope with a built-in tracking camera. This was brought out for the Atlas V launch last Thursday. There is electricity up here, so they can power the camera. But I want to point out, does everyone see that to the right of the telescope we have sandbags up there? It's the generator to power the camera, and the generator had to be protected from the blast of the rocket. So the generator was placed inside the bunker. No people, nobody's out here too close. We'll be here for...
Looks like 39A over there.
Like Ares 1. Most of the first stage was real. The remainder, but they're building a new platform they just completed for Ares 1 rocket, but it wasn't ready yet, so they brought it out on an existing platform. It's a slender rocket. It's only one solid rocket booster, so there was a lot of concern on rollout that with the wind it would begin to sway and maybe fall over, but it did well. They brought it out here. They had removed the access arms from this tower so they could launch that rocket. They had to tilt it when they launched it so it would not hit the tower. And I had the privilege of watching it by the press site by about 3.5 miles away, and it was louder than any shuttle. We all said that it was louder than any shuttle launch, and we've seen many shuttle launches. And it was fast moving. It cleared the tower. Purpose of the test. About the crawlers. You can see part just over here on the right. We have one of our crawlers. Birthday to them. They turned 44 years old in January. They moved all the Saturn rockets, media section, and you can always watch NASA TV live. And you can watch the landing. And you always can watch launches. I like to remind people, if they do not know about that, coverage usually starts about 6 to 8 hours prior to launch, and you can watch everything on in space as if it would float, which of course it does not. It falls and breaks. And one of the astronauts said he had gone out to the store, and he had 2 bags of groceries. He was leaving the store, and he let go of both bags. So he dropped it and broke everything that he had. So it's just things you don't think about.